Look at any historical atlas, and the brain performs a trick. It assumes borders are natural, that political colors mean stability, that the large shapes, Rome, Chin, Britain, were rooted like mountain ranges. But maps flatten time. They erase fragility. They lie by omission. Every empire beams confidence backward, as if destiny were baked into its soil, as if permanence were a reward for size. But no empire lasted forever. Not one. Not even those convinced the gods had endorsed them. Not even those who imagined history itself bent toward their survival. If every civilization eventually dissolves, then size never guaranteed immortality. Power never insulated psychology, and belief never overpowered biology. Which raises the quiet question beneath all the noise. Is collapse random, or is there a human limit we keep pretending isn't there? Hunger builds, comfort dissolves. Empires begin with pressure, not pride. Scarcity, fear, urgency. Small tribes facing stronger neighbors. Merchants fed up with fragmented tolls. Farmers seeking protection. Minor kings dreaming of breathing room. That desperation becomes unity. Unity becomes discipline. Discipline becomes expansion. From inside, expansion feels like vindication. We were right. We were chosen. This is who we were meant to be. But psychology flips once fear fades. When prosperity normalizes, memory shortens. Sacrifice becomes optional. The grand project becomes routine. And routine is where boredom germinates. Early Rome feared annihilation. Late Rome feared discomfort. Early Ottomans feared disunity. Late Ottomans feared modernization. Early British rule justified duty. Late British rule expected preference. Empires aren't defeated by rivals. They are seduced by ease. Scale outgrows the human brain. Biology is the hidden constitution of every political system. Humans evolved to trust maybe 50 people, 100 if we stretch the definition. Empires demand emotional loyalty from millions. So they invent substitutes, administrative layers, ritualized ideology, propaganda, imperial myth, centralized education, bureaucratic dependency. These substitutes scale, but only up to a point. Once distance outweighs emotional familiarity, citizens stop imagining the state as us and begin treating it as them. Not enemies, not allies, just administrators. Useful when convenient, disposable when not. Assyria learned this, Persia learned it, the Abbasids, the Mughals, the Habsburgs. Gigantism is not strength. It is a race against entropy. The bigger the structure, the weaker the cohesion. Empires collapse not because they are attacked, but because unity becomes mathematically unmanageable. The administrative cliff. Empires expand until governance becomes guesswork. Roads extend further. Taxes require more intermediaries. Local elites cut favors. Bureaucrats skim margins. Corruption is not moral failure. It is entropy in political form. When administration metastasizes, policy stops shaping society and begins responding to it like a nervous animal. Systems slow, communication lags, reform becomes symbolic. Meanwhile, memory fades. The generation who built the empire is gone. Their grandchildren inherit a machine they don't understand and don't feel obligated to maintain. That is when power transitions from tool to entitlement. And entitlement has never built a frontier. Expansion creates enemies. Stability creates rivals. When an empire expands, neighbors panic. They consolidate, reform, unify, modernize. Rome sharpened Carthage. Qin provoked Zhao and Chu. The British unintentionally industrialized their competitors. This is the paradox. Expansion produces the external forces that later dismantle it. But those external forces arrive precisely when internal motivation is exhausted. It is never a fair fight. One side is hungry, the other is full. The hungry side always has the advantage, because the final currency of history is not technology, territory, or money. it is will. The moment people stop believing, an empire collapses the day its population stops treating it as meaningful. That moment is quiet, invisible, not a battlefield, just a shift in interior weather. Citizens continue paying taxes, not out of loyalty, but inertia. Armies continue marching, not with zeal, but for salary. Elites keep issuing decrees, not out of vision, but fear. This psychological disengagement is fatal because political systems require a minimum threshold of belief, not unanimity, just belief that the center matters. When belief drops below that threshold, the empire becomes a shell. One shove and it cracks, and that shove always arrives. No one recognizes the peak. If an empire has a peak, why does nobody ever see it? Because at the top, life feels normal. There is commerce, art, urban congestion, political noise. People complain, not about collapse, but about boredom, taxation, inequality, inconvenience. Decline doesn't feel like tragedy. It feels like routine. Carthage at its height was decadent. Mughal India at its height was extravagant. Tokugawa Japan at its height was serene. Britain at its height felt bureaucratic and exhausting. The peak is not a summit with a view. It is a plateau disguised as stability, and stability invites drift. When identity becomes optional, empires require emotional narrative, a story capable of overriding tribal instinct. So long as the narrative is felt, people cooperate. But narratives fatigue. Once education, media, and discourse fragment into competing identities and sub-tribes, the imperial story loses resolution. People revert to region, religion, class, faction, memory, resentment. Not because they hate the empire, but because identity has slipped into the private market. And when identity becomes consumer choice, the state no longer frames meaning. The population becomes a mosaic, vivid, expressive, incompatible. That mosaic is beautiful, but it cannot synchronize sacrifice. And without synchronized sacrifice, no empire can defend itself against time. Collapse isn't violence, it's subtraction. We imagine collapse as invasion, horses at the gate, flames, panic. But collapse typically looks like declining birth rates, evaporating trust localization, administrative paralysis, elite extraction, public apathy, intellectual cynicism. Collapse is a subtraction of cooperation. Invaders merely accelerate the math. Rome didn't die because of Goths. It died because citizens stopped caring who governed them. The Abbasids didn't die because Mongols arrived. They died because political legitimacy dissolved long before Baghdad burned. Aztec dominance didn't fall because of Spanish genius, but because tributaries preferred change. The final blow is never decisive. It is opportunistic. The real kill switch is indifference. Knowledge outlives power. Here is the hidden mercy of collapse. Empires are not tombstones. They are transmission systems. Rome dissolved into civil law, Christianity, Romance languages, administrative rationality, urban architecture. Persia dissolved into court protocol poetry, Islamic bureaucracy, miniature painting, administrative federalism. Britain dissolved into common law, parliamentary norms, English language, global trade patterns, industrial templates. Collapse does not erase. It distributes. The political shell shatters, but the cultural code seeps outward. So permanence never belonged to the empire. It belonged to the diffusion. The question isn't historical, so we circle back. Could any empire last forever? Only if humans evolved beyond tribal cognition, emotional bandwidth scaled with population inequality stopped fracturing cooperation, abundance didn't erode urgency, narratives remained permanently persuasive. None of these exist today. We are still biological creatures attempting political overreach. We cooperate until success dulls necessity. We fragment once meaning becomes optional. We resent hierarchy once confidence outruns risk. We want comfort, and comfort dismantles discipline. So the limit is not political, it is neuronal. The empire collapses because the nervous system withdraws its attention. The reflection. No one enjoys. Maybe you feel the echo in the present. A world full of alliances, superpowers, markets, but also suspicion, fragmentation, identity fatigue, mistrust. Not doom, just saturation. When systems get too large, the mind looks inward again. When narratives lose authority, people shop for alternatives. When politics stops inspiring, culture replaces it with self-curation. This is not the end. It is the natural punctuation of any structure that has exceeded emotional bandwidth. Maybe permanence would stagnate the species. Maybe collapse is how evolution forces renovation. Empires fall, but humans adapt. Power centralizes, then disperses. Meaning concentrates, then personalizes. The world shrinks, then diversifies. This rhythm is not tragic. It is cyclical instruction. The hidden limit says no, not as punishment, but as invitation. Because if any empire lasted forever, curiosity would suffocate, innovation would slow, identity would petrify, impermanence protects imagination. So no empire can last forever. But maybe that is the most reassuring answer of all. What dies makes room. What ends redistributes wisdom. What collapses frees invention. The empire is mortal, and humanity is not. And perhaps that is the quiet truth behind every rise and fall. The structure disappears. The species continues. The story rewrites itself. Not eternal rule, eternal reinvention. Subscribe Timeless Questions channel for more thought-provoking stories about philosophy, history, and the unseen forces shaping our world.